Football time is here again. And I think to myself one thing. I need to get to more games this year. I often find myself caught up in the grind of sports ball and rambling on a microphone. And I need to replace that with screaming my vocal cords out at a stadium. And I know exactly the way to get there on Sundays. You do too. Say it with me. SeatGeek, the sponsor of this video. The app that helps aid us in our quest to sort all tickets on the resale market. Aggregating all tickets from red to green on a 1 to 10 scale with a view from where you'll be sitting. And all game tickets are certified for authenticity. Heck, it's not just with sports, but concerts, theater, and shows as well. Cue the ding. Use code TREE in the link below to save $20 off your first purchase. With SeatGeek, anything is possible. Except for preventing me from rambling about the teams in the AFC. Last year felt like a buzzkill for the Bills. A team with so much ambition and drive just went sideways. Some of it was due to elements out of their control. And some issues this year are the same. Such as Nyheim Hines being out for the season, cursed with the horrible fate of being injured on an idle jet ski, while being struck by another jet ski. That situation feels like Buffalo's predicament. They are a great team, but can they finally get over the hump? Will Von Miller and Tre'Davious White recover from injury to be what they can be? Is Stephon Diggs really that pissed at the organization, or is it just a smokescreen? And will they finally trust anyone other than Josh Allen to run the damn football? The in-division competition will be fierce. And Buffalo's now in a position they haven't had to experience in a long time. Fending off the hounds of war. A tale of two teams. One with two under center and one without. As trendy as it is to criticize him, the Dolphins are a significantly better team with Tonga Vailoa. But will he be able to stay healthy this time around? Concussions are prone to repeat after the first one. Protecting their man will be at the forefront of every conversation. With the weapons they have in their arsenal, it'll be a deadly force if healthy. Their offensive line has improved at the very least. It's nothing special, but it's better? Yeah, that's a go. They've tried the same thing with the defense. Perhaps not cover zero blitzing every single drive will help with that. So with Jalen Ramsey, but he's become an Apple product. A name brand that breaks down way too often. Take him to the Genius Store and we'll see you in December. Hopefully nothing else falls apart on them in the process. Speaking of falling apart, the Christian Wilkins negotiations have reached an impasse. You can afford them, right? To rebuild a crumbling empire or not? That is the ultimate question in Foxborough. Over the past few years, too many steps backward have been taken. The fattened king has become too complacent in his duties, yearning for an age-long past. Surrounding himself with yes-men that ruin the prospects of Mac Jones. And hoping to God that he can overcome those horrors by his own doing. Desperately trying to fill the holes where greats once stood to mixed success. Perhaps the Patriots will finally boast a wide receiver again as they threw money at Juju Smith-Schuster to do. But attempts to woo Nuke Hopkins over here had failed. Ezekiel Elliott is the consolation prize, but like Bill, his star has also lost its luster. Regardless, the hunger to reemerge from the shadows is always on their minds. Sometimes the most unbelievable things can happen in the NFL. Any given Sunday, right? Perhaps Belichick on the hot seat? Oh, that's a bit preposterous. Is it? History often repeats itself. And it's not because we don't learn from its mistakes. It's because we feel we can improve upon the results. The second coming of a legendary Packers quarterback was foretold in the stars. And like Favre, Aaron Rodgers has chosen to mend his trade in North Jersey. He brings with him a caravan of chums. And together they reassemble the 2015 Green Bay Packers. Something just feels weird with this team. In theory, this should be a return to relevance. All the Jets really need is quality quarterback play to right the ship. They brought in Dalvin Cook to pair with a returning Breece Hall because of it. But is Rodgers really the right quarterback for these guys? He was missing a lot of throws last season, and miscommunication ran rampant. If things go south early, I fully expect him to bitch up a storm on Pat McAfee. If there's something that Aaron loves more than winning, it's drama. And we're not talking Corey Davis abruptly retiring. Get the popcorn. The second age of Lamar Jackson is upon us. And it nearly didn't happen either. No longer will he be handcuffed by Romans, but unleashed with an arsenal carefully scripted by Todd Monken. The long-suffering offense has been set free, as Lamar will hopefully have more than one target to throw to this time around. OBJ might not be what he was, but it's an upgrade, albeit an expensive one. We all know that they can add all these weapons, give themselves a fresh coat of paint, spend money on Jadeveon Clowney even though they're set with young players at edge. None of it matters unless they can stay healthy. It's destroyed them the last 2 seasons. In fact, it's already happening. Marlon Humphrey is out indefinitely with foot surgery. This team literally can't catch a break. Unless it's apparently a bone that snaps. Gods, please spare Lamar Jackson this year. Joe Burrow question remains ever elusive for the Bengals. We've long been teased about the massive extension that'll be coming his way. It's going to reset the market. It's only a matter of when. But so far it's been quiet on that front. If they can get it done, the Bengals will be set as quality contenders for a while to come. As long as Burrow doesn't get injured long term. We all held our collective breath for a bit, but we can exhale. It was only a calf strain. There are other questions to ask, mainly in how they'll replace both Von Bell and Jesse Bates in the back end. Plus how Orlando Brown does at left tackle. They're making the right moves, and their receiving core is going to be as deadly as ever. But it doesn't guarantee that it'll work out. The great quandary of sport itself. You should still be good for this year, though. You have no idea how unbelievably critical this season is for the Browns. Nobody's discussing it, but if things go miserably for them this go-around, it could quite literally set the franchise back years. Deshaun Watson's contract will be coming to a head thanks to a restructure. You paid a king's ransom for him, you'll deal with an over $60 million cap hit in the future. There are too many questions to ask towards the outcome of this team to be confident in them. Is Deshaun going to return to anything close to his old form? Will the defense be somewhat competent without Joe Woods ruining everything? Will they learn not to spend fourth-round picks on kickers? Is Jimmy Haslam now the worst owner in football since Snyder is gone? What is the consensus opinion on their new logo? All these and more will have to be answered. If they're wrong or poor responses, God help them. Is there any doubt that they'll get any less than 8 wins this year? It's both a blessing and a curse. The standard of the standard. Just like the Steelers somehow refusing to die. With a hopefully healthy TJ Watt and a freshly paid Alex Highsmith, they'll be looking to terrorize foes left and right. They're not a sexy team by any standards, but they really don't give a shit. They'll win ugly with their opponents self-destructing and by Deus Ex Machina, and you'll like it. Their floor is set, but the key for any greater success will have to come with the allegedly small hands of Kenny Pickett. I may be biased in my love for him, but that's because I'm a masochist for Pitt football. Once again, not the sexy pick to break out as a QB option, but the Steelers will make it work out. Don't use logic with this team. Just go with the flow. This team is still trying their best to clean up the mess left by Bill O'Brien. And the rebuild will continue with anything resembling haste. CJ Stroud, this is your show now. You're going to be thrown into the fire just like Deshaun was. You unfortunately don't have many weapons to play with. But the blindside blocker got paid the big bucks again, so protection isn't the worst. Houston is a group with a bunch of placeholders and hungry younger players eager to make a name for themselves. The only aspirations for the Texans this year? Keep out of the Tank Bowl. Not only for personal pride, but because Arizona has their first-round pick. It'd suck if they gave up Caleb Williams in the process. Jim Irsay isn't just a clown, he's the entire goddamn circus. The Dunning-Kruger effect personified. You can lead an owner to competence, but you can't stop him from ruining everything. Not only meddling in team affairs, he's chosen to piss off his best players as well by not keeping his fucking mouth shut. You really had to ramble about how running backs are replaceable on Twitter, did ya? You really said no one would feel bad if Jonathan Taylor was out of the league? What the hell did you say to Taylor in private? Now he wants absolutely nothing to do with the team and the Colts put him on the pup list. He's demanded a trade, but considering their price point, they want to send a message. He's not a whale in captivity. He'll have a dead cap attached. Pretty bold when Zach Moss is out with injury, you know. With a regressed offensive line, question marks at receiver, and a defense forced to carry the team, I can say one thing. Anthony Richardson is going to die. At least give him a chance to survive. Jesus! The easy comparison to make to this Jags team is the euphoria they felt after Jacksonville in 2017. But honestly, this is completely different. They actually have a real quarterback for starters. Trevor Lawrence's emergence into a true superstar will be the utmost priority. And he was making great strides in that regard last season. With the surprises around him, mainly Calvin Ridley returning to the game, Christian Kirk playing up to his contract, and Evan Engram discovering he has hands, they'll be looking for a repeat performance. If things go to plan, it may very well be a new age in Jacksonville. And it certainly will be for their stadium. It'll be undergoing a massive renovation to make it state-of-the-art. Which means the Jags are going to be homeless for 2 seasons. Hopefully this team won't be lost in the shuffle. Just be thankful you don't have to deal with the endless London rumors anymore. Or a PR campaign trying to make Urban Meyer look human. We know when someone's lying. Tennessee says they're still competitive, but their actions speak otherwise. They cut a ton of veteran pieces this past offseason. Over the past year, it's not competitiveness they've been running towards, but football hell. The Titans know this, which is why they're trying to rebuild on the fly. Whether it's successful or not really depends on a few things. Nuke Hopkins helps, and he's going to have to return to the greatness that he showcased with regularity. And King Henry will have to burn every last bit of his energy reserves carrying the offense. Ryan Tannehill, you just hope he can hold his own until one of the young prospects develops. The offensive line, yeah. The defense should be relatively stout as well, but that too is being rebuilt on the fly. It's their hope that they still have the power to make a run in the division. The reality will probably be the same as past seasons. A brutally disappointing thud. The ride never ends. You should know this by now, Denver. A desperate attempt to salvage anything from the Russell Wilson era will play out in front of a national audience. If that means throwing everything you can to get Sean Payton to try and coax it out of a leaner Chef Russ, then so be it. He's even bringing in some known help in the form of Will Lutz. Otherwise, it's been sparring of the verbal variety. Payton spent a lot of time ripping the previous regime for putting the hack in Hackett. He's not wrong. That group should be thankful that Urban Meyer's reign existed, and the Broncos conveniently play the Jets in Week 5. At that point, we only hope they have anything resembling a wide receiver core. The Broncos can have no healthy ones. Ever. They're all falling apart. Hopefully it's not a premonition for the rest of the team like last year was. Super Bowl run back is always fancied by those that tasted its glory. The Chiefs tried for it once a few seasons ago, but were undone in their attempt. Last year showed us that without Tyreek Hill, not much changed. New pieces were picked up off the ground to replace his production. But this time around, it might be a tad tougher. Chris Jones is in the final year of his contract, and he wants paid. Kansas City and Jones haven't come close to anything resembling agreement. He's currently in his own Le'Veon-style exodus from the team. He says he'll be back by Week 8, but let's be real, Le'Veon said the same shit during his holdout. So the defense is probably going to give up 28 points per game instead of 21. Their matchups are going to be incredible shootouts that make the unbelievable seem boring. Kansas City will keep winning as a result. At least until Mahomes wants another raise. So you couldn't get Tom Brady to don the silver and black as anything besides an owner. Oh well, you'll continue to skin the Patriots alive by bringing in the prodigal son in Jimmy G. Just don't pay attention to his foot. It's apparently mangled beyond all repair and there's been nothing but radio silence on it. Overblown, probably. But it doesn't mean the Raiders are going to be any good. Team defense will cycle through at least 50 different players and none of them will pan out for some reason. Marcus Peters come on down to be the next free agent flop. If only they could do the same long term with Josh Jacobs, but they haven't come close to it. He tried for a holdout, but running backs have no power in the modern NFL. Hate to say it, Josh, but you're gonna have to bite the bullet here. Remember, the NFLPA had a chance to get rid of the franchise tag in 2020. They failed you. Every year we hear about how this is the year the Chargers are finally going to break out. This is the year that they stop chargering all over the field. Yet it never changes. Whenever it feels like LA's mistake is escaping their own cursed incompetence, the vortex draws them right back in. In 2023, they will hopefully be cured of Lombardi's disease with the Kellen Moore vaccine. But he did show some red flags in Dallas. Those will hopefully be masked by the weapons on offense, featuring a Justin Herbert that's been flung the big bucks to hopefully not be the new Phillip Rivers in Chargerland, and Austin Eckler, who failed to both get a better contract and request a trade out of here this offseason. To be fair, the real question is on defense. Can J.C. Jackson prove that last year was a fluke? Will Eric Hendricks finally solidify middle linebacker? Is there a healthy defensive tackle standing on this team? More importantly, Brendan Staley's job is on the line thanks to it. His ass is searing hot this year. And for very good reason. I'm watching you. One word comes out of my mouth in regards to the AFC. Stacked. It's going to be a goddamn bloodbath in this conference. And it can be argued whomever makes the Super Bowl will win it outright. Regardless, predicting anything is somewhat of a coin flip. In the AFC East, regardless of competition, the Bills are still the best in class in my opinion. AFC North, barring more injury to Joe Burrow, Cincy takes it with their elite offense. The AFC South, it's Jacksonville's to lose. They have to win it by default, right? Although we did say that about Tennessee last year. And the AFC West is a Kansas City affair. As usual. Wild cards, though, they're really hard to gauge. Pick them out of a hat, I guess. Ravens, Chargers, and Jets. Why Jets? Because this is usually how ridiculous it tends to be. Sue me. I'm sorry for all the teams I jinxed as always. I regret nothing.
Cincinnati, a beautiful night and all. Excuse
Excuse me?
A beautiful night in Cincinnati. Tonight's first half highlights.